everybody, welcome back to 2D's Kitchen. So today we're going to do a knife review, which is kind of like a gadget review because you use them in your kitchen. Somebody in one of my videos asked me to do this and I thought it was a fantastic idea. So we're going to kind of go over the knives that I use. I am a one brand knife girl over here. And because I worked in restaurants, I use a pretty expensive knife. But for me and what I do, and even what I do at home, it was completely and totally worth it to spend a little bit extra for some of the different perks that it has. So none of my knives that you see, except for maybe this one because it was a present, but none of the knives that you see you can get at Walmart or anything like that. You can get them online. I think you can get them at Kitchen Collections. You can get them at some different stores, but you are definitely going to pay for them. So the brand that I use is called WÜSTHOF. It's a German company. I would say that it's kind of in the middle. It's not a cheap knife, and it's also not the most expensive knife that you can get. And I only use their classic brand. They have like 4 or 5 different types of knives that you can get, like their everyday knife, their classic, their, I don't know. You can go on their website and you can look. I exclusively only use their classic for a couple of reasons. One, superficial. I really like the way that they look. The second is I really like the way that they feel. So you're gonna have to excuse me if you're a knife expert because I am not. But I do like the way that they are in my hand and the balance that they have. So if I take one of these knives, okay, I like the way that they balance in my hand. The steel on this side is not too heavy and it doesn't weigh it down, and the handle with the steel is not too heavy for me to hold. So some knives that you get, one side is extremely, you can tell that it's heavier than the other. So when you're holding it, it makes a difference in how you cut. And for some people that's great and they really, really like it. For me, I like the balance of this one. Also because it is a little bit more expensive, it has the steel running all the way down through the handle. Another perk with WÜSTHOF is they do have a lifetime guarantee. So if you do stupid things like bend the tip of your knife, or in one of my other knives you'll see that the handle's broke, all I have to do is call in, tell them what happened, and they'll send me a new one for free. So that's also a little bit of a perk in my mind because you're going to spend so much on a knife. You can spend anywhere from $80 to $400 on any of these knives. So it really depends. Some of the little, paring knives are maybe $80. Some of the bigger, like my block knife and stuff, $300-400. So that is what I use, and I'm just going to kind of show you the different knives. I have a lot, so I'm going to try to go through them as quickly as I can. And I'm really going to point out in my opinion, the like 3 knives that you need to be successful in a kitchen. The rest of them are just all little perks and fun things that you can do with them. But if you're going to work in a commercial kitchen, if you're looking for knives to give someone who just came out of culinary school or wants to start in a kitchen for a commercial kitchen, then there's 3 real good knives that you'll want to get them, and it doesn't have to be WÜSTHOF brand. There's a whole lot of different, brands out there. It really depends on the chef, honestly. Some chefs will say that they hate WÜSTHOF, and some chefs will say that they like Wolfgang and Puck. Some chefs will say that they like Walmart knives. Just really depends on the person. So, having all of that said, you guys are going to come down here with me, and I'm going to kind of show you what knives that I have. So, come on. Okay, so I don't know the exact names of all these knives. And I'm really sorry about that. Some of them look a little weird. I don't remember the names, but they do have numbers on them, and I'll make sure to show you them so that if you are interested at any time, you can go on their website and you can find out what knife it is. So to me, this is one of the top 3 knives that you need in your kitchen. It is just a normal chef's knife. I think that this isn't considered an 8-inch chef knife. I could actually survive in a kitchen with just this. If I had only this, I could survive. So here's a close-up. It's just a WÜSTHOF Classic with the number right there. You guys can see that okay. What I really like about this knife, again, is that it's not really heavy for me. I am a woman, and so some of the guys out there, guy chefs, they like heavier knives, but I do not, because it is more work on my arms and my wrist and my fingers. These are, like I said, very lightweight. And I don't really know how I got started using WÜSTHOF. I think, honestly, I graduated culinary school and my parents gave me a WÜSTHOF knife as a present. and I started using it and I really loved it. I'm not really sure how my love with WÜSTHOF started, but it's definitely there. So this is just a chef knife. I also like it because it has these little ridges in it. So if you're cutting potatoes or anything starchy like that, it does help keep the product from sticking onto the knife instead of just being a completely smooth surface. They also stay very, very sharp for a very long time, which is nice. If you take care of them, don't ever, ever, ever put your knives in the dishwasher, people. You're going to ruin your knives that way. So that is a classic chef knife. The next knife that you need to survive in a kitchen, in my opinion, is just a simple little paring knife. So this is just a little bitty paring knife. It's again from the WÜSTHOF Classic. So I have laid out the 3 different kinds of knives that I feel like are most important in a kitchen, at least in my experience, that I could not have survived without in the kitchens that I've worked in. So I've got 2 different kinds of chef's knife here. I started off with this one, which is just a plain knife. It's got a rounded edge, which I really like. And then they all, for the most part, have these little ridges, which I really like. Makes it easier to cut product, keep it off your knife. This was really nice as a starting knife because when I was learning to cut, my knuckles, when they still do, they go right against the knife so that you always know where your fingers are at, but you're not going to cut them. And so this was nice because my knuckles felt really good right there, and I didn't have to worry about like getting bruised or anything from the top. So I started off with this knife, and then as I kind of went along, I ended up getting this knife, which I also really, really like. This knife is really, really lightweight for such a large chef knife that it is, and it became a staple for me. I didn't go to any kitchen without this knife. Even whenever I became a manager, I always took this knife with me just in case I felt like cooking. So there's that. And then you, of course, need one of these to get meat off fat and things like that, like if you get a pork loin in or something like that. This knife is very, very important that you keep this. This should be like one of the sharpest knives that you have. Oh, I need to clean it. Sorry about that. But this is one of the sharpest knives that you should have in your kitchen because when you use this knife, you need to use it for a lot of precision. So there's that. And then there's a paring knife. This is just a plain paring knife. This knife, poor little guy, has seen a lot of abuse in his life because it was the first knife that I learned how to sharpen on. So as you can see, maybe you can see, he's got a whole lot of different scratch lines on him, and I didn't eventually learn how to sharpen a knife correctly, but he felt the brunt of it. So poor little guy. But the way that you tell a knife is sharpened, at least for me, is I always, like, he's pretty dull right now. I call him he. I don't know why. But anyways, he's pretty dull right now, but I'm not cutting myself. But I just take my fingers straight across the blade, and if I can feel all of my different fingerprints getting caught on the knife, I know that it's really sharp. When I start to kind of skip some or it isn't quite as detailed, then I know I need to sharpen it. So you can do the paper test, you can do the hair test, all that stuff, but in the process of doing that, you're going to make the knife duller because you're going to use it. So it's kind of a hit or miss there. So let's kind of put these off to the side because we're going to introduce some more knives into the game here. So I have these 2 as well. I'm going to put these back up here on my little knife rack. And I started off with this one, very plain. It's just a utility knife. It's got little edges on it, so it's really good for cutting tomatoes and vegetables, even bread. It's really good to cut this with. I brought this with me in a lot of kitchens as well, and then I kind of upgraded along the line to this interesting looking little knife, and he is really good for tomatoes and anything that has a pit in it, because these little tongs go straight down into the product. You can get the pit out and then you can continue to slice it. And these little ridges, they stay very, very sharp if you take care of your knives. Don't ever put your knives in the dishwasher. Please, you're gonna break my little heart. It dulls them a lot quicker. It does things like, here's a great example of why you don't want to. Because it will do things like this to your handle out over time. The heat, then the cold, then the moisture, it does that. And again, WÜSTHOF has a lifetime warranty, so all I have to do is turn that in. I just haven't yet because I'm a bad person. This is my newest knife, and I love this knife. For me, this can replace any knife in the world. I think this is just called just a kitchen utility knife on their website. And again, I don't know the names of these very well, so I'm sorry. You can go on their website and you can look for yourself and see what you want. But this one is a new one, and when I saw it, my husband said my eyes lit up, so that's the type of person that I am. But it is so nice. It's kind of like the 8-inch chef knife combined with the other one, all in one. And I love it. And I love the way that it looks. And if you're a person who cuts like this a lot, it's like rounded at the top, so it makes that easier. And also, it's pretty nice to peel with because it gets thin at the top. So, I don't know. This is just my favorite. It looks really, really cool for a knife, too. Like, when you walk into a kitchen, like, oh, what is that? Like, oh, it's just my new knife. But anyways, this has become my favorite. I use this one more than anything right now just because it's new and it's fun and it needs some love. Then I've got this big, huge guy. He is used mainly in my kitchen for bread. You have to be very, very careful with him because he's got very, very tiny things that will bend very, very easily if you're not careful. Never, ever, ever sharpen these knives yourselves because you're going to take away all those little ridges. But I feel like this is a very dangerous video. Like, be careful, people, with your knives. But yeah, I really like him too. I use him a lot for bread. And then I have my fish filleting knife, which also super, 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 super sharp and very, very thin. So your fish knife should be able to bend. It should have some give to it, where your meat filleting knife has very, very little give to it. You can see the differences, right? Because your meat is meatier and your fish is very, very delicate and thin for the most part. So you have to be very careful getting underneath the skin and the actual part of the meat, where this is a little bit more forgiving. So a good fillet knife should have a very nice give to it, like this one does. We're almost done. I think we got like 3 knives left. Stay up there, please. Thank you. I got my big, huge butcher knife, which honestly I've only used once in my life. But if you're deboning a chicken or anything like that, this is very good. You can see that I'm testing them while I take them down. But that is this one. And 2 left. These are just different little paring knives that I've gotten along my journey as a chef, I guess. They're just, they're edged, as you can see. And I like these when I haven't done it in a very long time, but you can make like little roses and little swans out of different fruits and vegetables. And these are nice because of their curve. You can get in there and do different types of things like that. So I really hope that you enjoyed viewing all the different knives that I have. And again, if you're looking to get somebody who just graduated culinary school some really cool gifts, they're going to be really excited if you give them a new knife. I mean, that's like when you're getting ready to go into a kitchen, if you can bring your own knives, that's the highlight of any chef, in my opinion, that I've ever felt. Like when I can bring my own little knife bag in with me and have my own knives, and I don't have to use theirs because usually they're pretty dull, or they're really scratched up, or whatever the case is. So I hope you guys enjoyed your visit with Tootie's Kitchen, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.